Hi everyone. I hope you are able to hear me.
Yes, Bhaskar.
Okay, perfect. So I'm just going to reiterate everything. So you can ignore last session for doing your practice. And let's do step by step. I'll make a note and I'll try to make you to much more comfortable. Okay, so as we discussed, I wanted to talk about project, right? Like if you take any domain, we are going to have a first step is data ingestion. We are going to talk about data ingestion. So we already seen a few use cases how we can load the data from the single file we have seen, and we also seen how we can do it with multiple files, and we came across how we can do it a single table, and we have seen how we can do it for multiple tables also in the previous use cases. Okay, so if you already completed this two set of use cases in the first three sessions, then you can understand this particular project. So that is the prerequisite. And when you go for any project, you will be having a list of tables. There may be 10 tables, there may be 20 tables, even 50 tables. More than that also, we are going to have it. So first we need to understand from where we need to bring the data. What is your source system and what is your target? Okay, so when you go for data ingestion, this particular project is going to talk about only data ingestion. So from where we need to take the data, what tables are required. So those details we need to require. Okay, so that means requirement gathering, or we need to say data discovery. Okay, so that means what tables are required, what columns are required, and where exactly those tables are available. And when you read the data from one table, we have a two different set of loads basically in real time. Okay, so whenever you're going to load the data into the table from the source system, we are going to have a two set of loads. Two set of loads. One is full load and other is incremental load. These two loads only we are going to have when you go for data ingestion or even go for data transformation. So whatever it is, you will be having two set of loads. So we know already how we can read the data from the table, from single table to your data lake storage gen 2. Okay, so when it is there for multiple tables, then how you're going to do it, we'll see that. Okay, so in order to do this particular use case, I wanted to introduce here a DevOps repository. DevOps repository is required. Okay, so whenever you're going to start doing your practice, try to integrate with the repository. Okay, because you can store your code. You can store your code, and in real time, at the time of working, you should have a you should have your data factory associated with the repository. So who is going to give access to the repository? You will be having a DevOps team, and DevOps team is going to provide the access to the data engineering team to access the repository to store your code. Okay, so right from your okay, right from the creation of the organization, I'm going to take you through that. Okay, the first step we are going to do is creation of the organization. Okay, so yesterday we created, but I'm just going to make this name as something like new. Okay, so first step you have to create it. The first step is you have to create a repository. Let me take out everything. Step one. Creation of the repository. Okay, so this is the first step. Now how we can create a repository? Okay, so whatever I'm doing the step one, the step one is purely related to DevOps team, not by data engineers. But in order to know all these particular things, you should know how we can create an organization. This is for only for educational purpose we are doing. In real time, we never do this step one. Okay, just keep in mind. Now I wanted to create this organization. To create this organization, you have to go to the portal. Portal. Search for DevOps organization. And you can see there is a Azure DevOps organizations. By using this only, we can create a DevOps organization. Let me hit on it. View my organizations. Let's take a default directory. Create new organization. Hit on continue. You have to go through this recording to create your organization name. Okay, so your first step is talking about your organization. I'm just taking this name of the organization and paste it here. Now your organization is going to create when I say hit on continue. Let it complete. Now I wanted to create a project. Okay, so the next step is step 2. Step 2 is create a DevOps project. I'm just giving some name. Let's take this name. So here it is asking a project name. Let's make this name and hit on create. And then you can find there is a repos. Okay, just take this repos, hit on it. The third step we have to do is we have to create a repository. Step 3, create repository. So repository name I'm taking ADF repo. ADF repo is the repository name. You just hit on the repos, right? In the drop down of this, you can see there is a new repository. Hit on new repository. What is the name of the repository? ADF repo. Let's hit on create. Now the repository is available. Okay. And the next step, I'll make a new data factory. I'll create a new data factory. Okay, so that you can completely you can practice your project. Okay, so step 4 is create a new data factory. I'm just going to take the same name. Okay, so this is the name of the data factory I wanted to create it. Let's go to the portal, home, data factories, plus create. So we know already how we can create a data factory. Okay. So when the moment I say we need to create a data factory, then you should get all the steps how we can create a how we can create a data factory. And let me hit on review plus create. Create a new data factory. So data factory will be created. A new data factory I'm just setting up to avoid confusion. After creation of that, then step 5, what you have to do is integrate a repository, that is ADF repo, with a data factory. Before doing your development, you have to do all these steps. Now it is created. Let's open the data factory. Launch your data factory studio. Okay, so this is the brand new data factory it is. I don't have anything. The very first thing what you have to do is you have to associate, you have to make association of your repository with the data factory. Okay, so when you hit on home, you can see there is a setup code repository. Hit on setup code repository. Then what is your repository name? I mean, you are taking the type of repository here is DevOps Git. Let me take that and just hit on continue. And repository organization we created, right? You can see your organization name. This is your organization name. And this one, sorry. This one is the organization name. The same organization you can see, you can find org new. This is my new organization. Just now I created it. And the project name also you can find the same project main new. You can find it. Inside that we have a repository called ADF repo. So I hope everyone is clear up to here. Okay, and I don't need to import because this is a brand new data factory, so you can just uncheck that and hit on apply. So this one will be done by someone who is already having some experience to set up this repository. And even if you get a chance to associate with repo, you can do it easily. Only one person can do, and rest of the person no need to do it because it is already associated with the data factory. So rest of the people are just going to get the access. Okay, so now it is associated with the repository. You can see there is a main branch. Okay, so nothing is available inside this. Okay, it's a brand new data factory and it is associated with the repository. Now, if you see in your repository, this is the repository name. Inside that, we have a main branch. The main branch is the collaboration branch. So everyone, whoever is going to do some changes, those people need to create a working branch based on the collaboration branch. You have to take the code into your working branch. Okay, so let's create a working branch now. I wanted to create a working branch in order to go for development. Okay, so step 6. Create working branch based on main branch to start working. Okay, so to start your working, then definitely we need to, let me adjust this. Okay, so to start your work, then definitely we need to create a working branch. If you don't create a working branch, then you're not supposed to do any changes in the data factory. If someone is asking, can you fix that issue, then you cannot do it. You're not supposed to do it until unless there is a Jira ticket. Okay, basically this working branch will be created. This branch will be created based on Jira ticket or ADO task. Okay, so if you're not having a task number or if you're not having Jira ticket number, you're not supposed to do any changes directly in the data factory. And if you try to do changes in the main branch, it will not allow. They will restrict it. They will restrict to do modifications directly in the main branch. So there means DevOps team. So DevOps team are responsible to control the access of the repository. Otherwise, what happens if everyone is having directly access on the collaboration branch to write, to delete, then it will go for mess up. So to avoid it, your DevOps team is not going to allow you to modify directly in the main branch. So because of that reason, we are going to create a working branch based on your main branch. Then the entire code of your main branch will come into the entire code of your main branch will come into working branch. Okay, so working branch creation is very important. So when you create a working branch, then you should have some proof. Okay, so you cannot just go and make the changes. You need to have a ticket number or task number to do it. Okay, so otherwise your approvals will be there. Approvers are not going to approve your PR. Okay, I'll talk about it. So this is about this, and then let me create a working branch first. New branch. So I'm just going to say my branch number is my Jira ticket number is 1001, and then I wanted to say a data ingestion, and you can give the name, the task, what you're doing. You can keep it. You can keep description of your task, and then who is doing, and when this branch is created. I wanted to say 05. It is 23/20/26. So I can add the date for that particular branch, and based on your collaboration branch. Based on the collaboration branch, you are creating this branch. That means whatever the code is there in the main branch, that code will come into the working branch. Then you can start working on your branch. Okay, so let me hit on create. Now working branch is created. So once working branch is created, then step 7. The step 7, you have to create a link services, right? First you need to have a link services. Okay, we need to have a link services for source and target. As this data factory is a brand new data factory, you have to set up the connections again. Okay, I'm not using the existed data factory. I hope you are following. Okay, so let me go and set up the link services. Of course, integration runtime we don't need because we are using Azure integration runtime only. I mean, Azure SQL database is a source. So then we are going to use Azure IR only, that we already know about it. So let's go for link services. Link services is required. One is for Azure SQL database, another is for Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. For these two systems, I require to create a link services. Let me hit on plus new. Azure SQL database, continue. Link service underscore, Azure SQL underscore, or data store. And let's take a subscription and your server name. Let me take a database name and provide the authentication and provide the password. So there is a key vault is there. In the final project, I'm going to talk about what is this key vault and why we are going to use that. At this point of time, just leave it as it is. We can enter the password. Let me make a test connection to test it. Let me hit on create. So since you're having a link services, okay, so as Data Factory cannot store credentials in Git repository, these changes will be published immediately. Basically, when you have a code, your code is there you have a code in the repository, right? How can you say that is in a repository? Your branch is there in the repository. Okay, your branch is there in the repository. That means when you're creating a connection, your connection basically need to have in a store, in a repository. So link services are not going to store in the repository when repository is associated with the data factory. It will go directly into the data factory. This is a data factory. Okay, it will go into the data factory. That is what it is saying. As data factory cannot store credentials in Git repository, these changes will be published immediately. It will go into the data factory. Okay, so no one will ask. I'm just giving an idea. The code is going to be stored in the repository. From the repository, it will go into the data factory. So within the data factory only, you can schedule your pipelines. You can schedule your jobs. So previously we have done everything directly in the data factory. Now we created a repository to store the code. Even if the data factory was removed, your code will be there in the repository forever. Okay, for that reason, every project, and it is not only that, and we can also capture who has done what changes. So those kind of things we can track it easily. Let's hit OK. Now one link service is created. Then we need to create one more link service for your target, right? My target account is this. Let me take a copy of this. Plus new Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. Your link service underscore ADLS. I'm just giving the name. And let's take a subscription. And this is your storage account. Make a test connection. And hit on create. Hit OK. Okay, now two link services are created. So once the link services are created, then we need to go for two data sets. But to create a data set, first of all, you need to have a sample data, right? You need to set up the data. Okay, so in step 7 and step 8, create sample data in Azure SQL database. Okay, so in Azure SQL database, you need to have a sample data. Okay, I'll share the script after this session. Yesterday I was not, I didn't share it because I wanted to take you through again step by step. So to avoid confusion, so I did not share anything yesterday. Follow only today's session, everything, so that we can you can easily do it right from the beginning. Okay, so here I have a script. You know how we can connect to your Azure SQL server. We know how we can create it. My database is also there. I wanted to create a schema with a name called sales. Okay, so just run this one to create a schema. Now schema is created. Inside the schema, I'm going to create a one customer table. You see that? So do not worry about this SQL. In the next week, we are going to start talking about SQL basics. And then I'm inserting some sample data into this table. Only this part only I'm executing. Okay, so here this is for testing. I'm going to use this particular statement. Okay, so let me insert the data into the table. Now it is inserted. This one at the time of testing, I'll take it. Now I have a few records in this table. So 3 records are there here. In the same way, I wanted to create a one more table, that is orders table. Orders table, just run that particular part of the code and then insert these records only. And this one, I'm just going to use it for testing. Yeah, you can unmute and you can ask me if it is related to this.
Hi, Bhaskar. As you are doing this code in SQL Server Management Studio, right? So
Yes.
we are using their Azure SQL database. So what we need to do? So we need to do this one, create in that, or we are contacting from on premises.
No, you create it in a cloud system only. Do not go for on-prem because I did not walk you through how we can read data from on-prem, right?
Okay.
Okay, so whatever I'm taking, just take that only.
Oh.
Okay, in the final project, I'll show you how we can read data from on-prem SQL also. Now let me create one more table, that is product table. So in real time, we don't create all these things. All these activities will be taken care by business. Okay, so for our own practice, we required something. Because of that reason, we are feeding these details. And this is for testing. What do you mean by testing? I'll take you through that. Now, if you see, I have a data in a product table. So 3 records are there. So 3 tables, I'm having the data. For all these 3 tables, I'm having the data, right? Customers table, orders table, and product table. So these tables are having a actual business data. These tables are having business data. Apart from this tables, we are going to have a metadata tables. Okay, so business tables are going to have a business data, and metadata tables are going to have a metadata. Okay, so metadata means what are the tables that we require to bring the data from the source, and what is your target, what type of load it is the table enabled for loading or not. So those kind of details we are going to have in the metadata tables. So every ETL project is going to have a metadata tables. Okay, so these tables are going to have a details about your data processing. These tables are going to have about your data ingestion details and data transformation details. Okay, so because you are going to control this flow of execution from outside. So 100% we need to have it. So some people we call these tables as a metadata tables or config tables. Okay, so naming standard may be anything, even control tables we can call. But we can feel when the moment you see the data in that kind of tables, you can feel what kind of tables they are. So this table is not a business table. This table is a metadata table. So when you see this here, you can understand. Here I'm having a metadata ID, pipeline name. We created a pipeline, right, in Data Factory. So that pipeline name, source schema. What is the source schema? Source table and watermark column, last watermark. What is the load type? Target path is active. So we are going to talk about each and every column. What is the use of these columns? Okay, so let me first create a table. Now table is created, and then I wanted to insert the data into this table. Okay, I wanted to insert the data into this table. So pipeline name, I'm going to take this PL underscore. I think it is L only, right? Yeah. So PL data ingestion is the pipeline name. Schema, source schema is sales. Why I have taken the source schema is sales is like just now we created a tables, right? If you expand this tables, so where exactly your tables are available, you can see sales is the schema name. I'm taking the data from the data store. What is the schema name? I'm keeping it here. That is the source schema. Because if you have a multiple databases, your schema names may be differs also. So in that case, we are going to have these details. So database name also we can keep it. In the final project, I'm going to keep the names of the databases and server names, connection details. So many things we are going to touch. Okay, and source table, the name of the table, customer if it is a customers, and watermark column. What is the watermark column is? I'll talk about it. You can see there is a modified date and watermark value it is, and what is the type of load, and where I wanted to store this data. Those details I'm having inside this table. So this is for customers table, for one table. In the same way, there is a one more table, orders table, right? Rest of everything is same, only the table name is going to change. The third table is products table. Only this three tables only we are loading it. We are loading the data for only these three tables. For some reason later, if new table comes into this to load the data into the target, what you can do is you don't need to do anything inside the data factory. You can just simply go and add the name of the table. Okay, just give me a minute. I'll take a question. Now three table details are available. So I wanted to see what is there inside this table. Let's say select star from table name. Give me a minute, guys. Someone is at the door. Okay, so yeah, Sabe, any question? You can unmute.
Yeah, hi, Bhaskar. Good evening.
Very good evening.
Bhaskar, a quick one. Here we are talking about we can insert the data manually. Is it done manually always, or is it done
Which
by
data?
kind of
Which
a
data?
trigger? Like
This one?
for example, we create a new table in a database, okay? And in that case, like the control table or the metadata table won't get to know whether the new table is getting created or not. So is it done always manually or via triggers? Because triggers always, implement it automatically
No, no, no.
into the control.
Basically, if it is a business tables, this will be taken care by business. We don't insert anything. Okay. For our
Okay.
practice only, we
Mm-hmm.
are doing it. But metadata tables, this is a metadata table, right? ETL metadata. Where is that? Here. So this one we have to create it. We have to insert. Let's say, for example, customer is asking to load the data for one new table. it is not available in the presently in the loading process. Then you have to insert that record into control table. I mean, in this particular table. Okay, so whatever is there for metadata related stuff, that is purely related to data engineers. So because of that reason, we should know about at least insert, update, delete, and select. Definitely we required. Okay, so when you're inserting, updating, deleting is completely purely related to only metadata. Other than this, we never do any actual data updates directly, because you don't get access first of all. Even this metadata details also only in dev environment only they will allow you to modify. Okay, so in higher environments they will not allow to everyone to do it. So otherwise, if someone is going and without where clause, if they update it, then your entire metadata tables will go update. Okay, so they're very dangerous and depends on your role, and they're going to give a access. And we used to take a backup also every day. Okay, especially metadata database.
Is the business correct? So one quick short one. So it is the business who is going to decide, like if the table is dropped, then that is active column is going to turn into 0.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So it's again performed by the business or the data
No,
engineer?
by us only.
That's again
everything by us only. If customer just will ask, I don't need this table to load it for anymore. Okay.
So
then
we manually change. We need not have to create a auto trigger for that.
Yes. So why we need to have this table? I'll give a clarity why we are keeping this is active flag is 0 or 1. I'll tell you later. Okay. So once you understand the PR, then you can understand the intention of this is active flag. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. So now we created a metadata table here, and you can see the details, what tables is required. Okay, so whenever the new tables are coming, we are going to keep on insert the data into this table. Yeah, Lara? Any question here with this particular topic?
I have a question, Bashka, in regards to the schema. So I know sometimes when you look at a database with tables, you have a DBO. Let me use, for example, DBO.customer. Is that a different naming convention for a schema?
Yeah, DBO is the default schema. If you don't give a schema, DBO will take by default. Okay, if you give a schema when creating a table, then it will take the schema like this.
Okay, understood. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Now I'm creating one more table, that is audit table is also important, because audit table is going to give the details when the job is started, when the job is ended, and how many rows are copied from the source. If there is any error while data processing, then what is the error? Those details, auditing details, we need to capture. So audit table is also very much common for every project, whatever the project we are going to do it. Okay, so here I'm taking few columns here. This are all most of the columns we are taking, and if you're still more few more number of columns, we can have it. Now let me execute it. Now ETL underscore audit table is created. And if you see the data inside this, we don't have a data. We are not going to insert the records into this table, because it has to be inserted into this audit table by data factory. So data factory has to insert. We are not supposed to insert into this table only audit table. But metadata table, you have to insert from outside, not by the data factory. Okay, so manual inserts will be there. And so how we can feed the data into audit table, or how we can update your watermark table. Okay, so first of all, when you see this ETL metadata table, you see there are one column is available, that is last watermark. What is this last watermark? Why we need to go for watermark column? So let's say, for example, I wanted to read the data from table called which table I'm having incremental load here. Okay, let me take a customers table. So I wanted to read the data from customers table. Okay, so I wanted to read the data from customers table. So whenever you are going to read the data from any table with the data factory, you're using a data factory to read it, right? Okay, so whatever the task it is, we don't care, but you're trying to read the data from the source system. Any table it is. We already come across how we can read the data from single table. We have seen how we can read the data from single table. But what type of load we did not talk about it. So here we are going to have a two different set of loads when you go for any implementation. Okay, so one load is going to be full load or incremental load. You will be having these two loads. Whenever you are going to read the data from the source, you have to decide before doing the development, you have to decide what kind of load we need to implement it. So based on that only, you have to feed the insert. If someone is asking a new table to load, then you have to prepare the insert statement. Who is going to prepare insert statement? Data engineer only is responsible. So he is going to take the job name, he is going to take the schema name, he is going to take the table name. Okay, and what type of load we are talking, right? The load type. If it is a full load, then we are going to say full. If it is incremental load, we are going to say incremental. So that is how we need to decide here. What type of load we need to decide. And then depends on it, you are going to load the data into the target. Okay, so your target is going to be, it is going to be same as a file system. I'm going to load it right here. Okay, so here we have a branch. Inside the branch, I wanted to give a folder called customers. Inside customers, you will be having a files. Okay, so something like customer underscore or date, if you take a 05 23 20 26 dot csv, something like this. Okay, so this is a folder name, this is a file name, this is a container, branch container. Okay, so something like this we are going to have it. Okay, so when we need to give this date is if it is incremental load. Okay, so let me say one more arrow here. I'll say if load type is incremental load. If load type is incremental load, then you can write like this. For example, if load type is not incremental load, load type is full load, then you can say date is not required. You can just say customer.csv. Okay, so let me say this. If load type is full load. Okay, is everyone clear as of now? Yes, Teja, any question?
Hi, Bhaskar. So here my question is, so when can we know when we need to apply the full load and when we need to apply incremental load?
Yeah,
How can we know that?
I'll come to that. Okay, so you understand, right, how the structure of the files will be there when depends on the load. Okay, so now the
Yeah.
question is, how do we know that? Because customer will not say you have to apply this load or that load. As a data engineer, you have to decide it. Okay, so to decide what type of load we are going to use is when table is having massive volume of data, then use incremental load. So when we need to use incremental load, when there is a massive volume of data. Okay, so millions of records. In my project, we have considered if the table is having 1 million records, okay, we went for incremental load. Okay, daily loading 1 million also is is not recommended. Like if you have 1,000 records, something like that, then you can go for full load. Because every day you have to load it if it is a full load. Okay, so incremental load is always recommended when the table is having a more volume of data and table should have date column. Okay, if table is not having a date column, then you cannot go for incremental load. As simple as that. Okay, so table should be having the date column. If you take a customer table, what type of load we are giving? Incremental loading. Okay, so when you see the customer table, how data is available here. Okay, let me go here. I'm just writing here. Select star from customers. Do we have a date column in this table? Yes, this is the date column. If you don't have a date column, then we cannot think about the incremental load. Okay, so then what are the alternative ways are there? I'll talk about it. I don't want to make a confusion at this point of time. So in order to go for incremental loading, you should have a date column. Otherwise, you cannot apply the incremental loading. And do not think that there are only 3 records here. I'm having 3 records only. In business, you will be having millions of records. Okay, so if table is having massive volume of data, then you need to think about the incremental load only. And to go and implement incremental loading, cross-verify is table having the date column. If there is a multiple date columns, then which date column we need to consider? That you need to check with the business. Okay, so on what basis, like why we need to go for incremental load is, for example, customer is not going to stay in the same location, right? Customer is going to change his location, and when he change the location, then address details will be changed. Every day your new records will be there. Okay, and you're ordering the product. That means every day you will get orders. I don't want to load all the data from the starting day of the business. I wanted to load only whatever is required. Those new records only I wanted to load it. So if you want to load only new records, then we need to say that is the delta records. Okay, so incremental loading is going to load only new records. I'll show you practically so that you can understand how incremental loading is very, very, very important for ETL developers. Okay, so
Okay, thanks.
now we understand that to go for incremental loading, there should be massive volume of data. Okay, so you can consider like 500,000 or 1 million records also. We can go for incremental loading. That is always recommended. Okay, so full loading. Then we have a full loading, right? Okay, so let me take this note again here. So when we can go for full load is when table is having less volume of data. Less volume of data, like thousands of records. Not more than that. If you have a very less number of records, then you can loading 1,000 records on every day is not a problem. Okay, so how you can load this 1,000 records on daily basis is you're reading the data and you're loading it. You're going to overwrite the data. We are going to overwrite the file. Okay, I'll show you so that you can understand how it is going to be there, how it is going to overwrite the data. If you give the same file name again and again, when the load type is full, your older file is going to be replaced with the new data, new file. So that is a full load. When you have a date is adding to the file name every day, then that is a incremental loading. Okay, so when you have a less volume of data, then we are going to choose the load type as a full load. Full load we are going to take it. So that is about your load type. Okay.
Okay,
And
thank you.
yeah, so when it is a full load, you don't need to think about anything. But when the load type is incremental load, then you have to think about what is the last watermark. Till what date you loaded the data. For example, you loaded the data till yesterday. You loaded the data till yesterday, just imagine. Now, if you wanted, if when I load again today, you have to take the records from the yesterday to till now. Only 1 day data only is going to be considered. Okay, so we are not going to read all the data. When it is full load, I'm just keeping the date here 1900-0101. Okay, so all the data is going to be taken. We don't need a data here. You can keep the null also, no worries. But when the incremental load is there, then you need to make sure the last watermark value is very, very important. Okay, and what is the date column? Okay, so if you take a customer's table, you can see modified date is the customer for customer's table. Modified date is the date column. Based on this only we can take the new records. Okay, so this column also I wanted to make it dynamic because there are multiple tables are there. When there is a multiple tables for applying incremental loading, then watermark column is also important. In customers table we have a modified date. In orders table there is a column called updated date. Okay, so column names may be differs. Because of that reason, we have to specify what is the watermark column to make it dynamic. Okay, so these columns are very, very important. Okay, now we created a audit table also, and how we can update this watermark date, because let's say for example I'm loading the data today. What is the date today? Today is, what is that, 23, right? 23 date. But here last watermark date is having 2026-0101. Okay, so when you load the data into into the target, this date is going to be with today's date, 2026 0523. Okay, so that date is going to come here. Okay, so that we need to update it till this date I loaded the data. So otherwise, if you don't update it, again it will take the data from this 2026-0101. Okay, so we need to make sure to update this watermark column. Last watermark value we need to update it. So then only it is going to consider incremental loading. So for that reason, we are going to have a stored procedure to update it. Update watermark. So on what basis you are going to update this column? For example, I wanted to update this date. Based on this table name, where source table equals to customers, it has to update only for customers table. So we need to pass the source table name, and we need to have a new watermark from the data factory. So these two values are going to get from the data factory, and then I'm having a update statement here. Update sales.etl underscore metadata, last watermark column, this column equals to new watermark where source table equals to source table. Okay, so this stored procedure we are going to use to update your watermark table. Let's create it. Now stored procedure is created, and for audit also you have to load it, right? For audit also we are going to have a stored procedure only. Okay, so row run ID, source table name, rows copied, all these are the input parameters. Okay, so these two set of stored procedures only we are going to use it. Okay, so you don't need to worry about it, how we can create it. You can get this kind of codes from outside. Okay, so for your understanding, just follow the same how we are doing it. So that is more enough. Let me hit on execute it. Now this stored procedure also is created. To insert the data into audit table, we have one stored procedure. To update your last watermark value, we have a one stored procedure. Okay, so this is about your setting up your environment for your project. Now we need to, the next step is 9th step. We already set up the source and everything as per your requirement. Okay, so create a sample data in Azure SQL database. We have done. And the next step is step 9. Create data sets for source and target. That is a step 9 in the data factory. Let's go to data factory, new data sets, Azure SQL database. We already know about how we can create a database. Let me hit on continue. ds underscore data store. Let's say AJ SQL underscore data store. Link service. You don't need to choose the table, you just leave it as it is and hit on OK. Now data set is created for source. And then I wanted to create a data set for target. Your target is Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. Hit on continue. Delimited text I'm taking. Continue. ds underscore data files. Let's say I'm just going to say a branch underscore. I'm just going to say files. Okay. Let's say folder underscore files. You can give any name for this. Okay, so ds underscore ADLS also I can give it. Let me take a link service. And first as a header, you just leave it. I'm not taking any path here. Okay, just leave that as it is, everything, and hit on OK. Now data set is created. Okay, so let me save this code. Where you are going to save this code? When I say save this code, the code is going to save inside this branch. Okay, just observe in the current branch. What is your branch here? Let me go to the branches. This is your branch 05/23/2026. If I open this branch, I don't have anything here except the link services. Now I'm just going to save this. When I save all, these two are going to save in the repository. Now you see that. Refresh this. Now you can see the data sets here, 2 data sets. And once this is done, then you need to create a parameter here. We need to create a parameter. 2 parameters are required. So one parameter, if you see this audit table, so one parameter is for target path is required. Target path is required. The target path is having container name and your folder name is available. Okay. So let me go and create a one parameter. So I'm going to say p target path. P target path is one and another one is p file name. These 2 parameters I'm creating it. Let me go to the connection. Here I'm going to choose my target path and here I'm going to choose my file name. We already know this kind of approach, how we have done it. So this is about the target data set. And the next step, what you have to do is you have to with parameters. The 10th step, we have to create a pipeline. Create a pipeline to apply incremental load and full load for single table. For single table, I wanted to do it first. Then I'll show you how we can make it for multiple tables. Okay, so pipeline name, I'm just going to take PL underscore data load. That's more enough. I'm just taking PL underscore data load. Okay, so this is the name of the pipeline that I wanted to create it. Okay, so this pipeline, we can also call it as a child pipeline. Let me say child also, so that you can understand. We don't give the naming standard at the time of working, like a child, something like that. So just for understanding, I wanted to tell you here. create a new pipeline. The pipeline name is TL underscore data underscore load. So first I wanted to apply incremental load, full load for single table. Okay, so whatever the details I'm having here, especially these columns, except the pipeline name, by using all these columns, I wanted to create a parameters. Create pipeline parameters. Create pipeline parameters. Okay, so let me show you how we can create a pipeline parameters. Okay, so at the pipeline level, I'm creating it. First parameter, source schema. P source schema. Next parameter, source table. P source table. And then watermark column. P watermark column. P watermark, watermark. Let's say this one, watermark. Let me take the column names from here to avoid the typos. P watermark it is. And then load type also is required. Last watermark is required. Let's take a last watermark. P last watermark. And then load type is required. And last watermark and current watermark also is required. Okay, so current watermark, let me take the naming standard. P current watermark. Okay, and then load type is required. P load type. And then target path also is required, right? Because we have a dataset parameter in the target. So target, P target path is required. I'm just keeping all of them in a string data type. Okay, so these are all the pipeline parameters. Okay, so I'm just taking a wait activity to just show you how it is going to be there. When the moment I run this pipeline, it is going to ask you to enter the values of the parameters. So because of that reason, I just wanted to have a parameters. So parameters are going to ask you to enter the values. Okay, so now we created all these things. Okay, so for one table, I wanted to test it. For this table, customers, just feed the details here. Source schema is your sales, is the schema name. You can see sales schema. Table name, I'm taking customers. P watermark column is modified date. I'm just copy and pasting. Last watermark value is this one. And current watermark value, I'm going to take just for 1 minute, my mouse charging. Give me a minute, my mouse battery is gone. Okay, and last watermark value, I'm just going to take for just testing purpose only, right? I'm just going to keep the value here itself. And let me say this is 5 and this is 22 I'm taking. Okay, so this is my last watermark value. I'm just keeping it here. And load type, what is the load type here? Incremental load. And what is the target file path? This is the target file path. This is the target file path. Okay, and this is the target file path. I don't think we require this as symbol, I mean slash symbol. Let it be as it is. So like this, we need to pass the value while doing a development. Only for single table I'm trying it. Once it is working for single table, then I have to make it work for all the tables. Okay, so let me show you. We have a parameters now. And then we need to decide what type of load it is. If it is an incremental load, you have to go for one way. And if it is a full load, you have to go for other way. Two ways are there. So two flows are there. Okay, so your goal is to load the data. Depends on the load type. You have to go for one copy activity. This is copy 1, and there will be one more activity, that is copy 2. Okay, so this will be decided based on the load type. If it is a IL, then it will go for this one, and if it is FL, then it will go for this one. So in order to decide what type of load it is, to decide it, we are going to use the activity called if condition activity in the data factory. If condition activity, we are going to use it. So let me take the if condition activity here first. If condition, you can see there are true block and false block. First set the condition. Okay, check load type. We are checking the load type here. When you go to the activities expression, we need to write the condition here. Add dynamic content. How do you know that load type is incremental or full load? Based on the load type. So there is a condition at equals. We have a function called equals. Okay, so here we're going to take a load type, comma. If load type is full, you can take the value from here and you can just copy and paste it here to avoid typos. If load type is equals to full, then I wanted to load all the data, right? Every time I wanted to load all the data. Let's hit OK. Okay, and when you go to true block, okay, so when it is true, when the load type is full, you have to go inside the true block. In the true block, it is a full load. Here you are going to have a full load, and here you are going to have a incremental load. So let's see how we can do first full load. Let's go inside the if condition activity. Which activity we need to take to copy? Copy data activity. Just take that and take a source. Your source is SQL database only. Okay, and we are going to write a SQL code. We're going to write a SQL code, and SQL code, how, if you wanted to load the data from customer table, you're going to write a code something like this. Select star from, your schema is sales dot customers. So that is how you're writing the code, right? So table name, we cannot give a guarantee this is the table name forever. You will be having other new tables also. The schema also is going to change, but this part is not going to change. So when you have this kind of approach, we need to make this dynamic. Okay, we already seen how we can read the data from multiple tables, how we can make a dynamic of a SQL code. We have come across it. Okay, so in this place, what you have to do is, let me come to add dynamic content. So I'm just taking a source schema. I need this expression. Let me hit on add, edit content. You can see I'm just pasting this one. I need the syntax. This is the query that I wanted to take it here. So in this place, this is going to change. So in place of this, you have to give a parameter name. And in place of this, there is a one more parameter, p source table, that we need to give it. So what you have to do is select star from table name. You can give it. In this place here, you're going to make a something like this. Let me take out this at symbol, open flower and close flower brace, dot, again at symbol, open flower and closed flower. So like this, we need to have it. This is for schema, and this is for table name. Okay, so I'm just going to take this is for schema. Let's take a copy of this, cut this, and paste it here. It should not be inside, just take out that. And up to here, it is going to get the schema name. Up to here, it is going to get the schema name. Then table name is also required. Again, paste the same thing. Take out this at symbol here, one at, and in place of the source schema, we have a source table, right? This is the one. P source table. You can just paste this. Is everyone clear how we can do it? Okay, so let me hit OK. And we need to cross verify, is that working or not? Just preview the data. What is your schema? Sales, table name, customers. Hit OK. Now you can see the data here. If I go for other table, let's see, I wanted to test it for orders. Then it is going to show the data from orders table. You can see order ID, customer ID, order amount. Okay. If I preview it, if I need a customers, you can enter the customers. And you can see again customers. Your customers data is available now. Customer ID, customer name. So dynamically this is taking it. And source is fine. Okay, when you go for full load, we never apply any filter. It will be select star from table name only. Okay, so you can have a star here. Hit OK. And go to sync. Sync is what? Your data set. Okay, so it is asking folder path. Your folder path is available where? In a target file path. Target path is your folder path. And your file name. Okay, so your file name, I wanted to say basically, okay, for now, since we are doing it for customer table, I'm just going to say customer.csv at this point of time, but I'll make this dynamic. How we can make this dynamic, I'll tell you. Okay, now this is done. Or we can take this one. Let's say, for example, I wanted to take your table name, your source table. We know already concat function, concat of your source table, comma, and then .csv. Your table name .csv file name is going to get it here. Okay, so this is perfectly all right. Now your full load is done. I wanted to test is that working or not. Just debug it. Just provided these details and hit OK. I think this slash is not required. Let's see. Load type. The load type is what? P load type. Okay, of course. So since it is having incremental load, it is not taking. What I'll do is I'll change the value of my load type is, I'm just going to say full for now to test it, because in the false block we don't have anything. In the false block I did not have incremental load, right? So it is not taking that. I have to test, is that working for full load? Now you can see copy 1 is full load. Let me open my storage account. Containers, bronze, 23,449. Yeah, customers table you can see. Inside customers, we have a customer.csv. It is succeeded. Okay, so when I run again, what happens is it is going to overwrite it. Okay, so we'll test it later that. Now if I wanted to go for full load, then you have to go inside this. Okay, so I'm just going to take the same copy data activity. Let me take a copy of this and go inside the false block and paste it. So I wanted to say this is copy 2. This copy to is going to talk about your incremental load. Okay, so source data set. We need to have a source data set. Source query is required. But we cannot go for full load with the same. We need to apply where class. We need to apply the filter. So we need to make the boundary of the data when you go for incremental load. Okay, so something like this. Okay, so up to here we have a query. Where we need to choose the where. Let's go to next line, where. And then this modified date column, we got it with the help of your this one, right? Watermark column. Watermark column is having the name of the column. Okay, so we cannot hard code the where class column here. You have to take the column name from the watermark column. Okay, so that means you have to choose the parameter. Take this and paste it. So watermark column is watermark column. Let's take this P watermark column. We have to choose here. Then column name is going to get whatever the name of the column we are having, that column is going to get it into this place where this one you can see. So where modified date. Then we require greater than. Let's say greater than. And then a date is required. From where this value is coming? From the last watermark column. Okay, so last watermark column, I have to take it. P last watermark, that means you have to take the parameter again. Let's take a copy of this and paste it. And we have to take a P last watermark. This date is there in a single quote. If you observe here, date is available in a single quote. So entire thing, this entire thing, you have to keep it inside the single quote. Okay, that entire thing you are in a single quote. Okay, so be careful while you are writing. And then what we have? AND operator. AND. Okay, the same thing you have to give it. Same watermark column. So what I'll do is I'm just going to take a copy of this, paste it. So column name, this one is same, but here you have to take less than or equal to. Less than or equal to. And then you have to take a current watermark value. So current watermark value is your this one. P current watermark. P current watermark we have to give it. So this is how we are going to write the code dynamically. You need to spend some time. Just follow this recording multiple times. Okay, so then only can do it. Even if I give this code, you may copy and paste it, but that is not going to help you. Try yourself. Okay, so then you can understand it. Let me say hit OK. Now I wanted to preview the data. So when I'm previewing, it is asking my all these values. Okay, so this is having load type is full load, that is fine. Let me say hit OK, and then it is going to give the data here for customer table. You can see. So query is working as expected. And then sync. Sync here, we have to make a underscore. This is the table name. Table name underscore we are giving, right? File name, if you observe. Table name, that means table name underscore. So table name is going to get it here. And underscore, I'm just going to keep it here, underscore. And then current to date we required, that we already know how we can get the format datetime function. Format datetime and UTC now. The format of the date is I think DD YYY. I'm just taking and then close this format function. And then what we require, dot CSV, comma, dot CSV. Okay, so format data, I think it is not required here. Okay, so since we already know about it, I'm not talking more details about this. Let's say hit OK. Okay, so now it is done. Your incremental load is there and your full load is there. So incremental load always is going to have this where clause starting date and ending date. Okay. Now let me test this. I wanted to test is that working or not. Okay, so let me take out this file from here. My customer table is having what type of load it is? It is the full load. Sorry, incremental load. Incremental load. Now if I run this, so at the time of working, you will be having at least one sprint time. That means 2 weeks of the time to work. Okay, so you will be having enough time. You can do it easily. Now you can see copy 2 is going on. Previously copy 1 for full load. Copy 2 is for your incremental load. Incremental load is going on. Now if you see the table here, you can see file name underscore date underscore date dot CSV is coming. Okay, so that is fine. Now you have it. 2 set of loads is handling with this pipeline. Let me save all. This is for single table. Then how can we do it for multiple tables? I cannot go and enter the table names here. I don't want to enter the table names manually here. So we have to pass the values from outside. Okay, so these values are available in where? These values are available in your metadata table. This one. Inside metadata table, you have it. So to pass the values to this particular pipeline to run for one by one table, what you have to do is you have to create a one more pipeline with this name. Okay, let me create a one more pipeline, a new pipeline. So this is the name of the pipeline. First, you need to get all these details. All these details I wanted to get it, so I'm just going to use this query. You see that all these details I wanted to take it. Take a copy of this query and use the lookup activity. We already know about lookup activity to get the metadata details. Get metadata. Your link service is data store link service, and take a query and paste that query and just preview the data. It is giving one record, but your query is having multiple records, right? So we already know the lookup activity can return a single row or multiple rows. And I'm just going to uncheck this. Now if you preview the data, you can see multiple tables are available. Let's close this. And this list of tables, this list of items, we have to give it to which pipeline? This child pipeline. This is a parent pipeline. So the output of this lookup activity is going to get the collection of items. So when you get the collection of items, you have to use the for each activity to iterate one by one. Iterate list of, iterate objects. Objects means a table. Okay, so I'm just going to take the table name from this lookup value array. Now go inside this for each activity. Inside for each activity, you have to use execute pipeline activity. Execute pipeline activity. So execute pipeline activity is very, very frequently we are going to use. Okay, so if you want to call one pipeline from another pipeline, we are going to use execute pipeline activity. Okay, so especially when we are creating a master pipelines, we are going to use this. Okay, so let me take my pipeline. What is your pipeline? I wanted to call this pipeline. When the moment I take this pipeline name, your pipeline, we already know it. Pipeline, when we create it, we have a parameters. It is asking what are the values of these parameters. What are the values of these parameters? I wanted to take it. Okay, so when you're testing, you can keep the values, but once that is done, you just take out all the values. Do not keep any values here. Okay, it should be empty values. We are not supposed to have the values, default values in the parameters. Okay, so let me save all. Now you can see empty values are coming here. It is not showing the values for this particular pipeline when I'm calling the pipeline. Now how we can get this schema? The schema is going to give whom? This person, this get metadata is going to give the schema. Just observe, if I run up to here, now you can see all the details. You can see here, pipeline name, source schema, source table, watermark column, watermark value, load type, target file path, is active, current watermark, all details are available here. Okay, so when we already know that if you wanted to get the values into this particular for each activity, we have to use current item, that is item dot source schema. Let me take the column names from here. I don't want to type. Where is that? So p source schema dot p source schema, you have to give it. No, not p source schema. It is a column name only. You have to give it. No p. Column names you have to give. Item dot source schema and source table. Item dot source table and watermark column. Next is watermark column. Item dot watermark column. Next is what last watermark. Item dot last watermark. And then current watermark. Okay, so let me take the copy with header. I don't want to type it. If I type, if there is any typo issue, then it will be a problem. So I'm just taking a copy and paste it. Load type. Item dot load type. It's a repeated steps only. And here it is going to be target path. Item dot target path. Let's hit OK. So values are going from here to your child pipeline to run it. Okay, so once you run, then it is going to load the data, right? Once it is loaded, then you have to make sure to update your control table in the child pipeline. Let's go to child pipeline. I don't have a problem with the full load, but when you go for incremental load, after this, you have to update your control table. Okay, so to update it, we have this one, if you remember. We used one stored procedure to update your watermark. Let's take this one. And here we are going to use the stored procedure activity. Okay, so update watermark. Update watermark. So this has to be executed on success of this data load. On success of the data load, you have to update this. Let's take a stored procedure name from this link service. Your procedure name is update watermark. This is having a parameters. You just hit on import parameters. It is asking what is the new watermark. New watermark is item dot watermark column. What is that watermark column? Let me take that. This one, current watermark. Not item dot current watermark. We have to take parameter. I'm sorry. Parameter last watermark. No, current watermark. You have to pass the current watermark. Source table is, it is also there in the parameter source table, p source table. That's all. These values we need to pass to update your watermark date. This is on success. Okay, and there is a audit table details also we need to pass it, right? So we need to take one more stored procedure. Success audit I'm just giving. On success of this, I wanted to call this. And your procedure name is audit procedure it is. Let's take that audit, insert audit. And I wanted to import the parameters here. You can see. Okay, let me delete everything and let me re-import it. Okay, so end time. End time is I wanted to take my UTC now. At UTC now. And error message. Here it is not going to have an error message, so we can say pipeline got succeeded or data ingestion completed. So this is going to be in a single quote. Okay, so you can have your own text however you wanted to keep it. This is not error message. And row count is going to be copy output dot rows copied. Okay, so how do you know that is a rows copied? I'll tell you that. Hit OK. And run ID is your pipeline run ID, that is system variables. You can find pipeline run ID. Source table is your parameter P source table. Start time. So I wanted to take your start time is your current watermark I'm just taking as a start time. And status, I wanted to say succeeded. Hit OK. So like this, we need to set on success. What if it is failed? Let's take a copy of this. Failure alert, failure audit. So I wanted to make a connectivity based on the failure. On fail, I wanted to run this. On failure, I wanted to feed this log details. Okay, so procedure name is already selected. Everything is same. Only this error message is going to change. So I wanted to take the error. You will get error, something like that. I'll show you how we can take that 0 dot message. Okay, I'll show you that. You just remember that. Hit OK. Rest of everything is same, and the status I'm going to say it is failed. And error message is going to carry what is the reason behind that for failure. Okay, so this setup we need to do it here. Okay, so again the same audit logs we can keep it in true block also. You can copy and paste it. Okay, I'm not taking that. Let me save all. Okay, so in my target, I'm just going to take out everything. I don't want to have any file here. Now I wanted to run this pipeline. We never run the child pipeline because child pipeline is asking the values of the parameters. So what we will do is just close this child pipeline, and this is the parent pipeline which is going to call your child. Let me hit on debug. When I say hit on debug, it is just going to start loading one by one. It's not that easy. You have to go through this recording multiple times and you have to do it. If we can do this at the time of final project will be easy. If we cannot do this, I'm sure final project you cannot do it. That will be little more complexity. I need 5 to 10 minutes only. The first pipeline is going to execute, and you can hit on this execution. You can see pipeline run ID, child pipeline. You can open it. Success audit is failed. Pipeline is succeeded, but audit is failed for some reason. Copied, rows copied. I told you, right? So I know that I will be getting that problem. Let me cancel recursive. I'll reload it again. So I need to fix that error here. Okay, so when it is succeeded, you see that rows copied. Rows copied it is. I think I have taken row copied, something like that. Let's take a copy of this. So here it is saying output dot row copied I have taken. It is rows copied. Okay, I'm just fixing that. Rows copied. That is one thing, and one more thing I wanted to set here. Rows red also. Rows red I wanted to take, especially when it is under the failure audit. We should not take rows copied here in this place. I have to take rows red. Otherwise, this one also is going to fail. Now again, I'm just going to run it, not this one. Let me save all. I'm running my parent pipeline. Hit on debug. One failure also I'll show you how we can do it. Now I'm just going to open my child pipeline with this run ID. Now see, it is succeeded. Second iteration is going on here. Second pipeline. Same pipeline only, second time it is going to invoke. You can see. First load type, then copy data to, it is incremental load. Copy succeeded. Then updating watermark table. On success of it, your audit also is succeeded. The third table is going on, you can see. Third execution pipeline. Check load type. Copy one means it is a full load. Okay. Now this is succeeded. This entire pipeline is succeeded. Now just observe, in few tables you have to cross verify. Audit table and ETL mapping tables. If you run this, previously, let me take the snip of this. Before running, so before running we have this. Okay, so dates, just concentrate on the last watermark value. Now after running, I'm just running this statement again, and you can see here. After running, after completion of job. So what is the date values we're having? Current to date and time, you can see. Current to date and time, you can see that. Okay, so now I wanted to test again this entire thing. Before going to run, let me run this audit table also. You can see. Okay, so one was failed, so it is giving like that. Data is not coming. Okay, so maybe the dates were updated. Let me check. I ran it for multiple times, right? Maybe because of that reason. Data ingestion completed, customers and orders. Let me check my target here. Refresh it. Customers. You have the data. Okay, so orders, you have it. Okay, so what I'll do is I'm just going to rename this because I'm running the pipeline on the same day. So what I'll do is I'm just going to keep this name like with yesterday date, or I'm just giving some more number here to avoid confusion. I'm just adding 1 because for incremental load it will create a one more file. I'm just adding 1 at the after 6 just for testing. Now what I'll do is I'm going to add one new record. If you remember, I kept testing in all the for every table. After inserting records, I have kept one here. So now I'm just taking this particular record. Let's insert it. One record is inserted into customers table. On orders table also, I'm just going to insert one record. I think product table, I have it. A new record you can see. Now I'm going to run my job. So one record only has to load with a new file name. Just observe, I'm not doing anything. I'm not testing anything here. I'm just directly running my pipeline. So incremental load should load only one record. Full load need to load all the records. It's almost done. So copy to is the incremental load, and you can see the how many records we read it. See, rows read is one record only. Basically, in this customer table, we have a multiple records, right? 4 records are there. It is taking only one record. The next table is, let's see, again incremental load. Which table it is? This time is going orders table. How many records you can see? Only one record is read. But basically in orders table, we have a 4 records. It is taking only one record because new records only is taking. Next full load it is. Copy 1 is full load. Select star from product. All the records will come. Now if we see here, how many records? 4 records. The file is going to overwrite. Okay, now your job is completed. Now if you go and refresh this customers table, you can see here you are going to have only one record. Okay, you can see the new record only. It is added as a new file because we are appending the date. Okay, so if you are running multiple times in a day, then add the time also to the file. Okay, while creating a file name, You can take the file format. You can add underscore time also, so that there will be no override. So to avoid it only, I just manually I have renamed the file name, previous file name. The previous file name is having 3 records here, you can see. Okay, so somewhere it's not a 3 records because it was already loaded. So let me check here. Let me open this. I don't know why it is not loaded here, but here you can see 1 record because we removed the data. So what you can do is just remove all the data and reset your control table and reload it. Okay, just reset your date. Again, it will take time to load it, but you will be having first load. When you're loading, make sure your modified date should be this value. Then you can run it. Okay, so when I run the same thing on the next day, you will be having one more file will be created with the date. Okay, so like this, we need to implement your incremental load and full load. Okay, so I left it here like keeping this logs, right? Let's say, let me show the log. You can see here 1 record. 1 record is loaded. It's not a 0 because we already loaded before that failure happened, right? When the failure happened, it loaded the data and with the same file name, it was replaced. Okay, it's not a 0. Previously, if you remember, it was failed. So that time copy was succeeded, but audit log is failed. Because of that reason, there is some issue with this. Otherwise, it is correct only. Okay, and if you wanted to make it fail for some reason, I wanted to fail the pipeline. Okay, so wantedly, I'll show you. I'll keep this one as it is in the next session just for a couple of minutes. I'll just make one small change and I'll load it. Then you will capture the error message also for what is the error message that you are getting. Okay, so this is how we can do it, and make sure this particular set of things, audit success log and failure log, should be there in the true block also. Keep them, just copy and paste and make a connectivity on success and on failure. Okay, so something like this. Otherwise, let me do it. This two, I'm taking a copy and go to your true block and paste it. On success is success audit. On failure, your failure audit. That's all. Okay, so copy data 1 is there, right? So one change you have to do it here. Rows copied is going to be, it is going to 1 because you are taking the rows copied from the copy data 1. So these changes only you have to do it. And error message has to come from copy 1 if there is any error. And here also you have to take the rows read from copy 1. That's all. Okay, so spend some time. Okay, so this week, this complete week, then you can understand how we can do it. Okay, so it's not easy for you, I'm sure about it, because and this kind of things you don't get from outside. People they think like, I mean, the trainers will think audience will get a lot of confusion why we need to go for this kind of approach. But in real time, at the time of working, you remember me if you can complete this use case by yourself. Okay, so that's all about it. And I wanted to take the questions. Let me take it from the chat first. And if anyone wants to drop, you can drop. Let me expand this. I'm taking from chat. I can see screen. Now I can see screen. And some figures to zoom. Okay, do you need to create a metadata and audit table every task? Not yeah, for every audit table is one-time creation only. We don't do it. You have seen audit table insertion happen from the data factory. For every project, you will be having audit table. For every project, you will be having ETL table, ETL metadata. I mean metadata table. append records every task. So if it is incremental load, you have to append it. Please, is it possible to get the steps how to create a repository with ADF? That's what you have to go through the recording. We cannot capture, I cannot capture that images. Okay. Go through the recording. It was there step by step, right? And you have to do it. Okay. And even if I get it from somewhere, they may not have a same approach to do it. Okay. And session will be, okay. I think I took the yesterday questions, I guess. Just give me a minute. I'll take it again. Today's is data ingestion, data migration same. Data ingestion, data migration is not same. Data ingestion will be common for new project. Data ingestion common for migration project also. Okay, ADO is the default schema. This SQL script, I'll share it, guys. Okay, so this script will be there with your hand. So to practice it. Incremental load, it will be every day we are going to do it, not bi-weekly. And if you have a bi-weekly, you have to schedule a pipeline bi-weekly. Let's not take any questions. Good. The reason why I took is they're getting confusion, so I took it. Okay. For stored procedure, we have to give same schema like sales. You can give a sales better to give it. Okay, and while using dynamic value expression, you can use the concat also. I recommend to go with at flower braces. Okay, so whatever you fail, if you are already aware of with concat, you can do it with concat also. Okay, so active flag, if you disable it, if you update that column as 0, then that table is not going to load. But how do you know that? Okay, so where we can decide that is in the main pipeline here, we need to apply where clause here. Where is active, let me give the column name. What is that column name? Is active equals to 1. So it is going to take only active tables only. This filter should be there. Good catch. Yeah, now you can unmute your okay. Thank you. So now you can unmute and raise your hand.
Hi, Bhaskar,
Yes.
Sandeep here.
Yes, Sandeep.
So my question was about that curly braces in the select star. When you are using select star, you are putting, all those
Parameters.
dynamic values in curly braces.
Yes.
Whereas
Yes.
when you only use the concat function, there is no curly brace used. It's within
Yes.
that
Yes.
concat
Yes. We
itself.
don't need to use it. Yes. You're right.
So curly brace we don't need to use. That's what you are
We
saying?
don't need to. Yeah, right. You're right. We don't need to use curly braces if it is a concat function.
No, so my question is, how do I decide in these formulas? Because these, I have used this expression thing. It doesn't throw the error properly that can guide you what is wrong, right? It's very tricky. So
Yeah, of
how
course
do I
it is.
decide?
If it is very tricky, you have to do it very carefully. Okay, so even if you go for concat also, it will not give a proper error. Okay, so then and there we cannot see the output of expression how you are getting it. Maybe in the future, in SSIS, if you know, maybe if you are aware of it, when you write some expression, it will, when you run it, it will show the output. Based on that, we can adjust the expression here. Okay, but when it comes to this particular place, you have to run the pipeline. After running the pipeline, you can see if there is a failure, for example, it will show the query here. When in the copy, in the output, if it's not in the output, when you see in the input, you can find the query, how this query is getting. Okay. So based on that, you have to adjust the query. You have to adjust the expression.
No, but
Got
the
my point,
curly
right?
brace we are using because there are multiple parts of the expression itself.
See,
So,
there are two options. It's not like you have to follow with only curly brace. If you want, you can go with the concat. Even if you go with the concat, the same thing. You have to fix the expression. Okay, so if you follow this properly, you don't get an error. Mostly you're going to give a column names dynamic, right? So you will not get a much difficulties. Okay, if you're if you're comfortable with the concat function, you can do with this part is one text string, and this will go into one text, and this will go into another one. You can do that way. You can do in that way also.
so here you are using curly brace to avoid the concat directly. You are using that.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay. And another thing, is regarding control table that you taught in the last session, complete session, and this metadata
Both are same.
table. So, what is the difference in between?
There we have only one column only, list of table, but here we have a source schema, source table, watermark column, what type of load it
Okay.
is. We
So
have
that
added
was
a few more columns.
that was for the learning purpose, mainly
Yes.
just to come to the metadata table.
Exactly.
This is the more practical usage, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay, so at the final project, I'm going to increase little more number of columns.
Mm.
Okay. Yes, Abhya?
Hi, Bashka.
Yeah, Lara, go ahead.
Okay, my question has to do with parameters. So do we create parameters on the target data set only?
Yes. If source is
Okay.
a SQL, we can write a dynamic SQL, right? So we don't need to create a parameters.
Okay. And how do we determine the columns for creation in terms of when creating a parameter? Is it do we look at the columns that are dynamic, that are not same with okay.
So depends on which metadata table you have to decide
Okay.
it. Okay, so let me show you again. ETL underscore metadata. So when I'm going to feed one more new table here, I have to see. Let's say, for example, there is a there is a transaction table. In transaction table, what is the schema? Enter the schema. The name of the table is transaction. Okay, so there is a transaction date. Enter transaction date. You have to see the table, how data is there. Okay, so then only you can feed the details. Okay, so minimum date of transaction table -1, you have to give the value of the last watermark. Minimum date of transaction date -1. Okay, so that date we need to give it. Then type of load, incremental load, target path, branch/transactions, active 1. So these details we need to feed it. Okay, so parameters will be always depends on this table only. You got my point, right?
Yeah, so that means we do not need the metadata ID and pipeline name, since the name is same for all columns within the tables.
Pipeline name can be anything you can give, but these columns are very important. You have to be very care about it.
Okay.
Okay. So
then
I will ask, like, after completion of this, let me know, everyone in the chat. I'll ask you to add one new table to the existed platform without doing any changes. Okay. So how you people can do it, I'll check. Just complete this project and let me know. Once it is done, I'll give one table. Okay, so with insert statements and all. And when you run it, it has to load that data also into your process. Okay. That should work for any number of tables. We are not going to touch anything in the data factory. Data factory is done. We fixed it. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And one change I forgot before taking a questions. You're there in the working branch. just save all, and you have to push the changes. To push the changes, we need to create a PR. We need to create a pull request. Sales data ingestion. I'm just giving some name. And then you can find all the changes here. Each and every change we can see here. And I'm just going to add my approvers here. Like basically you will be having, you need 2 approvers basically in reality. And here I'm just taking myself. And let me create a PR. And since it is myself, I'm just going to make it approve. It is approved. And then we need to merge this. Okay, so you will be having 2 approvers, approver 1 and approver 2. So they will see the code and they will get the details from you, and then they will approve it. After approving, I'm the developer, right? You or me are the developers here. Okay, so I'm going to merge the code. Who is going to be responsible means we are responsible. Data engineer is responsible to get the approval from the approvers. Approver is from your team only, one of your team member only. Okay, and then once it is approved, then only can merge the code, complete it. When you're completing, your working branch is going to delete it. You have to delete it. You're not supposed to keep it. Just leave the default as it is. From the collaboration you have taken, you have done the changes, you tested it, and you're merging the code with the main branch. Okay, so from main branch, from your working branch to main branch is going to merge this code. Merge, you can say working branch into main branch is going to merged. Now, if you go and change this to main branch, you can see in the main branch also. Okay, all the pipelines are available here. Now, the code also is going to be available in the main branch. Previously, there was no code in the main branch. So, from the main branch, we have to bring the code into data factory. Still, the code is available in the repository only. From the main branch, people has to bring the code into live mode. That means data factory. In data factory, we don't have the code. So who is responsible for this particular activity is your DevOps team is going to create the DevOps pipelines. Okay, so this is the DevOps pipelines. Okay, so you don't need to worry about it. Your DevOps team will take the code from your main branch to data factory, and from there to higher environments, they're going to take care about it. Okay, so our job is how we can create a working branch, do your development, test it, and create a PR, get approval, and merge the code. That's all. Okay, so now again I'll take the question. Sabya, please unmute yourself.
Hey, hi. Bhaskar, like you explained about the child pipeline. So, what is the main purpose of child pipeline? If we have this kind
That
of comparison, then
that will do for only one what I can say, one table, right? Let me take this. This child is can load only for one table. Same thing I have to execute multiple times. Okay, so this one is getting called by your other pipeline, right? Just for making you to understand, I made this as a child. So parent is having a three items, 3 tables. For this table, you have to call this pipeline to load it, right? And for second table also, you have to call this same pipeline. And this one also, you have to call the same pipeline. So for that reason, I just made this as a child. And I'm just saying that you're calling this pipeline to apply loading for every table. Okay, this one works for only one table. If I run here, it works for one table. I don't want to do it for one table manually. You have to pass these values. First time, customer details will come to here. Second time, orders details will come here. Third time, product details will come here. Okay, so in order to do that, you have to call this pipeline from another pipeline. You cannot do it in a single pipeline.
So it's mainly for the audit. Like, see, iteration we can do with the for each or
No,
lookup, all
incremental
these kind
load,
of things.
incremental load and full load, we cannot do it in a single pipeline. If there is only full load, you can do it. Last time we have done.
Yeah.
Okay, with control
Correct.
table, we did only full load. But again, if you have an incremental load, then two types of loads you cannot control with single pipeline.
All right. And if you go inside the child pipeline once, can you go inside? So there are three procedure created. Like if you go inside the false one first, the incremental one. So you have for the update watermark,
Yes.
and then these two for
Success
the
audit,
success and failure for the
failure audit.
audit table.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the same update watermark is only for the incremental table because we are taking certain delta data
Yes.
every time.
Yes.
That's why we are creating
Yes.
that stored procedure. That
You're right.
won't be applicable for the full load, right?
Yes.
That's why we are
Yes.
not creating that.
Exactly.
Is my
Exactly.
understanding correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
perfect.
Okay. Yeah, and the last question which I have is the one dynamic column you are creating for the table metadata, that is the current watermark. Current watermark
Yes. I
column
took
is
the
not
current,
defined inside it.
yeah, right. So I'm taking system
I
date.
think this is the dynamic.
System date I'm taking.
Okay, okay. So this will be dynamic in nature just
Yes.
to address the what is means for the next run, it would help to address what is
Exactly.
the
Exactly.
last watermark.
You're right.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Thank you. Yeah,
Thank you. Yeah.
that will do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shravani?
Hi, Bhaskar. See, for full load type, we are not updating this landmark, right? If we
We
can
don't
change
need.
it to
We don't need.
incremental.
We don't need. If it is incremental load, if you change this value, automatically this will go into incremental path. It will not go into full. So we don't need to update this date. Because of that reason, I just kept only in the false block only. In the incremental block only, we kept the update watermark table.
And
Okay.
once we finish the pipeline completion, then compulsory we need to run this stored procedure, right, to update these values.
Of course, we have to. So when
Okay.
this one we are updating only for incremental load purpose. This column is required for incremental load only. So for full load, I just kept it 1900 When you see this, you can feel that it is a full load. Even this one also will say what type of load it is. We don't need to update this. Only for incremental load only, we are updating this last watermark value.
Okay, got it.
Okay. Yeah, Archana?
Yeah, hi Bhaskar. Just have a couple of questions. Just with regards to the parameter, like how we have created the parameters for the schema that we have created, right, Sales? So do we need to create separate parameters for different schemas that we have in the database?
Yeah, for example, if I have one more table, okay, so for example, I wanted to add one new table with a new schema. Then what I'll do is I'll give a same pipeline only. Schema name I will give something like Contoso. Okay. Let's say something like this. Let me write it here. Okay, so schema I wanted to say Contoso. Okay, and table name is transaction. And date is transaction date. Okay, and value will be there, date value. And type is incremental load. Okay, and path will be there, and is active 1. So what happens here is this table is not available in the sales schema. This table is available in Contoso. So those details only we are just going to feed here. Okay, so we don't need to worry about where exactly it is available. You just provide in which schema you have it and what is the name of the table. Okay, you got my point, right?
Yep. Yeah, and also you've mentioned that we can't have both the full and incremental load in one pipeline, so we need to create separate ones, right?
Yeah. So this is whatever
but
we have
can we
seen.
have-
This is the best practice to do it.
Right. Okay.
Okay. If you try
But
to do it,
we can run.
if you try to do
Sorry,
it in a if you try to do it in a single pipeline, there will be a lot of clumsy. Okay. First, you have to get the list of the tables. In the list of tables, you have to give it to for each. Inside for each, you have to take this if condition activity. Addressing is going to be little difficult. And okay, so if you want to try, you just have a try. But I don't recommend you to do it, as per my experience. Okay?
Yeah.
This
But
is the
we
best
can have
practice
like
to do.
different schema, but if we
Yeah.
can have different schemas in one pipeline, the
Yeah, the
incremental
same
for
pipeline will work for different schemas also here.
all the schemas. Okay, different schemas, right?
That's what we are
Okay.
giving a schema name dynamic.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
And for every schema, we only take these columns only, right?
Yeah.
Irrespective of
Yeah.
what
You
the
you have to
table is.
identify what column, what is the watermark
Yeah.
column, and value that
Okay.
you
Yeah.
have to take care about it.
Yeah.
You don't need to
Okay.
touch the pipeline. Automatically, it will come into the feeding.
Yeah.
Okay, Sandeep, any question?
Regarding the maintenance, so if we decide that we don't want to load this particular table for whatever reason,
Mm-hmm.
uh, who does this decision usually, and we go and do this manual change for the is active?
Yes, of course. Someone will request, right? This table is not required. Then we have to update it. Update statement.
Manually go.
Yeah,
Okay,
manual.
and then do.
Your metadata table is manual only.
Oh,
Okay. So for
metadata is
example,
manual.
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
There is a 3
Okay.
developers. Three
It's a
developers.
one time
Yeah,
we
one
have to
time.
create
One time
it.
only.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not only that,
Yeah.
there are three developers in the team. He will get
Mm.
to work for one table, and he will work for some other table, and he is working for some other table. Okay. So what they will do is, even the pipeline is ready, we never give all 3 tables to one person, because testing also is required. Is data is getting loaded, and identification of we need to feed that insert statement, right? And he will prepare one insert statement. This person also will prepare one insert, and this person also will insert. Okay, so he is responsible for his table to make sure everything is working. Okay, so he will create one. If they are changing anything in the pipeline, then they will create a PR. PR is not required here, because we already done the pipeline. If at all, if you are doing changes in the pipeline, then PR is required. So because of that reason, this metadata table is required. So otherwise, what happens is, if we create a PR, this has to go for approval. DevOps team has to involve. It has to go for the testing environment, and then it has to go for the prod environment. This entire life cycle, at least one sprint will take. So if you have this table, then we can directly just feed those details. We don't need to go for deployment. Deployment is not required. You're reducing the deployment cycles by using this table. That is the intention of this metadata table. You got my point, right?
Yes. So
okay.
My follow-up question is, like, in the actual environment, when you are having a bigger team working with hundreds of tables, normally that pipeline is designed and tested, and then every uh, developer in the team has been assigned to run it for particular table, right?
Yes.
Each
Yes.
table,
Yes.
and make sure that all the data is loading properly with
Yes.
different conditions.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So okay, that's fine. Now, in the case of failure, if we want to test the pipeline while it's running, how can we make that use case to
Simple.
fail
You
it?
have a select statement we have given, right, for both of two copy activities. Just
Yeah.
remove one of the character from select. It will go for failure.
Okay, to make it false,
Yeah,
as if the
yeah.
table is not
Yeah, we
available.
have to make them to fail.
Yeah. Okay. But in normal scenarios, in practical, in what cases this fails? Like maybe the
Syntax errors
table is
only. Only
deleted.
syntax. Yeah, that is also there. Syntax errors or column. Mostly table. As we are taking a star, there will be no problem. But if
Okay.
table is deleted, or if table name is changed, or if schema name is changed, so in that case, it is going to failure.
Okay. Now my final question is regarding this the table, this metadata table. So if we have these 3 layers, bronze, silver, gold, do we just copy this table simply?
No.
all these?
No. This is bronze only. Only till bronze we brought it. So from the bronze, why people are assigning each table for one person is, from bronze to silver, you have to apply some transformations. Okay, so that also you can reuse the existed framework. Like we have created a pipeline for data ingestion. In the same way, you will be having a notebook to reuse it. But in the gold layer, you have to do it for every table. So because of that reason, one table will be assigned for one person.
Sorry, I didn't get it.
Okay, so the reason is, this person can reuse the existed data ingestion framework, right, in ADF.
Yeah.
By feeding those details. The same way, to move the data from bronze to silver, you will be having a common notebook. Okay, so like your pipeline. Okay, so this one we can reuse by everyone.
Okay.
But from the silver to gold is going to be decided, the number of tables will be less. Bronze to silver, number of tables more or less same. But from silver to gold, you cannot expect the same number of tables.
Yeah.
Okay, so in that case, you have to work depends on your goal table. You have to create a separate notebook for each table in the goal layer.
But similar to the reusable pipeline, we in the second layer we are using notebook instead.
Yes.
But my question is, how the notebook will decide what table to load?
We'll talk
we
about
don't
that.
use
That
this.
will be decided by your metadata tables only.
Okay, so this metadata table, we are going to copy simply from one layer to the another next layer.
In the next layer, we are going to apply data cleansing transformations. Like I wanted to remove the duplicates. Okay.
No, those are the things that I
it's
understood.
Not a straightforward copy, right? Straightforward copy is from source to landing. Source to bronze is straightforward.
So this metadata table we are only using once, very first time. That's it.
Sorry, can you elaborate it?
Okay, so let's say we have 3 tables here, and we simply copied. The task is done for these metadata tables.
Okay.
So this is to instruct whether is what table is copied and what is the load type, right, in the pipeline. Once is in the bronze, for to next layer, how do the notebook decide what table I have to copy?
We have to extend the columns. That's what I told you. This is having a limited number of columns even. Only till bronze. Okay, so to move data from bronze to silver, silver to gold, we have to give a bronze schema, bronze table, bronze silver schema, silver table, and the type of load. You can reuse this across all the layers. And watermark table also can have a different column name. Okay, so depends. You have to add as many columns as you required to the metadata table. Connections also we are going to make a dynamic in the final project.
Okay, so we will maintain that separately for that layer, correct?
Within the same table with additional columns.
With some additional column.
Yes.
But it's not a simply a move from here to the branch so that the notebook can continue. We have to maintain that independently in the bronze layer for the notebook to perform.
Let's wait for some time. You will get it. Okay, this is too early to answer. You will get confusion, and others also will get a lot of confusion. We'll see that how we can move at the time of bronze, at the time of final project.
Okay.
And there are
sorry. I have one very general question. Bhaskar, like regarding the SQL and Python, we know that it's part and parcel of the data engineer's life. But how much of like part of this is a advanced part of SQL, like triggers and stored procedure?
No
how
triggers,
much those will
no
be?
triggers at all for our data engineering platform. Okay, and stored procedures also no, because we are going to use notebooks for doing a transformations. Okay, so only thing that there is a chances to have is to feed the log details. Only this procedures only, not about data transformations. So data transformation we are going to do with the Databricks. Okay, so we can ignore the stored procedure.
That's why you in your initial
Yes,
classes you talked about those Mendelian architecture in the Databricks.
yes.
So yeah, like those we
The
can talk
basic is
later.
enough.
But yeah, let's
Basic and
not much
basic is
focus
enough.
on it.
Yeah, basic knowledge is enough
All right.
for SQL.
Fair enough.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a part of my first question when I asked you like about that is active table, how we are going to dynamically.
Okay.
Fine. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. There is one question. Can we use Azure AI assistance for writing? Azure AI is not going to help you to write expressions. AI you can use at the time of Databricks notebooks. I mean notebooks when we go, that time you can use it, but Azure AI will not help you to write expressions in Data Factory. I think it is not available in Data Factory. Child pipeline is copying one table, so by calling it will reusing it again and again. Yes, you're right. Yeah, mainly if there is an incremental load type. Yes, that is also right. Okay, so I hope everyone is clear, right, for doing your practice. Anything, I have a time. If anyone wants to ask any question related to your previous practice, talking anywhere, you can ask me.
Bhaskar, just I want to know if I want to practice this, whatever you have explained here, along with that, which one I have to practice more to learn about this?
Right from the Data Factory, wherever we started. If you ask me, do it from the beginning, because let's say a data store. You don't know, if you directly listen today's session, you don't know how I have created this data store. If you start doing the practice from the beginning of the practical session, then you can understand how this was created. Okay, so I recommended to do from the beginning, wherever the practical session is started, right from the storage we started, and start doing practice from there. Okay, so if you directly come to this particular use case, you may not understand. Okay, by coming this particular session, you would, if you already practiced last 3 use cases, then definitely this particular use case is going to be simple for you. Okay, so start doing the complete
Yeah,
practice. You understand, right?
I practiced whatever explained in the previous sessions, but
Then
along with that, for example wise, which one I will practice more to get the knowledge?
this one is just do it without seeing, then definitely this is much more enough, because we are going to do only data ingestion. Okay, and in the final project we are going to see few more additional things, like how we can schedule this. I did not touch that. Okay, and how we can change the connectivities. I mean, you'll be having a different connections, different source systems. You cannot have too many control tables. Only one control table. Server name will change, database name will change, schema name will change, table name will change. So those things you can get it, but whatever I explained, that is more enough if you can thoroughly do those things. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, Bhaskar.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, last week I pinged you, right, regarding that
Yeah.
and dates. Can I
Okay.
share screen now?
I hope no. Yeah. Before that, is anyone having any question? I'm stopping the recording. I'll take a screen. Okay. Let me.
Thank you, Bhaskar. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm just stopping the recording.